How Jesus traveled without modern roads, Hook. Imagine walking for 3 days straight. No car, no bicycle, not even a paved road beneath your feet. Just dust, rocks, and the sun burning down on your shoulders. This was the world of Jesus Christ. A world without highways, without maps, without a single mile of asphalt. And yet, in that world, one man walked further, taught more people, and changed more lives than almost anyone in human history. So how did he do it? How did Jesus of Nazareth cross deserts, climb mountains, and travel from village to village, region to region, with nothing but his feet, his faith, and the people around him? Stay with us, because the answer reveals something we rarely think about, the sheer physical cost of the story we think we already know. Introduction. Today, we can cross entire countries in hours. But 2,000 years ago, in the dry hills of Galilee and Judea, distance meant something different. It meant sweat. It meant blistered feet. It meant days, sometimes weeks, of walking beneath a merciless Middle Eastern sun. Jesus lived in a land shaped by empire, by dust, and by ancient pathways, older than memory itself. There were no cars, no trains, barely any real roads, at least not the kind we imagine. And yet the Gospels describe a man constantly on the move, from Nazareth to Bethlehem, from the Jordan River to the Sea of Galilee, from small fishing villages to the holy city of Jerusalem itself. This is the story of how those journeys were even possible, and what they tell us about the man who made them. Scene 1. The land beneath his feet. Picture the region of Galilee. Rolling hills, rocky soil, small stone villages scattered like seeds across the landscape. This was not a place built for speed. It was a place built for walking. Most people in first century Judea never traveled more than a few miles from where they were born. Life was local, small, rooted to the land, but Jesus was different. Historians estimate he may have walked between 15 and 20,000 miles during his lifetime, most of it on foot, through terrain that could tear open the toughest leather sandal. Some scholars believe the network of paths he used had existed for centuries before him, worn into the earth by farmers, shepherds, and traders long before Rome ever arrived. These weren't roads as we imagined them. They were simple dirt tracks, shaped by footsteps, not engineers. But something unexpected connected them all. A surprising invention that made long-distance travel possible for the very first time, seen through the Roman roads. Rome, an empire obsessed with control, and control required movement. To rule distant lands, Roman engineers built one of the greatest transportation systems the ancient world had ever seen. Over 50,000 miles of roads stretching across their territories. Some of these roads reached into the region where Jesus lived, layered with stone, gravel, and sand, built to survive rain, war, and time itself. These roads were designed for one purpose: to move soldiers and goods swiftly and reliably. But faith found a way to use what empire built for conquest. Merchants, pilgrims, and travelers, including quite possibly Jesus and his followers, walked along stretches of these very roads. Historians are not certain how often Jesus used official Roman routes rather than local paths. The Gospels don't specify, but archaeological evidence confirms these roads existed near many of the towns Jesus visited. It's a strange and powerful thought that the very empire responsible for his crucifixion may have unknowingly built the paths that carried his teaching. Scene 3. Crossing the Sea of Galilee. Now, picture the water. Not an ocean, not even particularly large, but to the people of this region, the Sea of Galilee was central to daily life and to Jesus' ministry. Fishing villages lined its shore. Simple wooden boats crossed its surface daily, carrying food, people, and stories. For Jesus, this lake wasn't just a body of water. It was a highway. Instead of walking 4 days around its edges, he and his disciples often crossed by boat, cutting travel time dramatically, connecting towns like Capernaum, Bethsaida, and Magdala within hours instead of days. Few people notice this important detail. Many of Jesus' most powerful teachings and miracles happened near or on this very lake. The calming of the storm, the walking on water, the miraculous catch of fish. This wasn't just scenery, it was infrastructure, the ancient version of a highway system. made of wind and water instead of stone. But even boats could only take him so far, because the most important journey of his life required climbing into hostile, unforgiving terrain. Scene for the journey to Jerusalem. Jerusalem, the holiest city in Jewish tradition, the destination of countless pilgrimages, and the final, fateful road Jesus would walk. The journey from Galilee to Jerusalem was no simple stroll. It required crossing steep hills, dry valleys, and dangerous stretches of wilderness, where bandits were a very real threat. Many pilgrims traveled in large groups for safety, especially during major festivals like Passover, when thousands of Jews journeyed toward the city at once. Some scholars believe Jesus and his followers may have joined such caravans, blending into the crowd, walking among strangers who shared the same destination and the same faith. Imagine the noise, the dust rising from hundreds of sandaled feet, the songs of pilgrims echoing across the hills as they approached the holy city. This was not a quiet, peaceful walk. It was chaotic, loud, alive with anticipation. And it was leading somewhere Jesus already knew, a place where prophecy and destiny were about to collide. Emotional peak, the final road into Jerusalem. Dust rising, palm branches waving, a crowd shouting words that would soon turn to silence. Jesus rode the last stretch on a humble donkey, a deliberate, symbolic choice, fulfilling ancient prophecy written centuries before his birth. Not a war horse, not a chariot, a simple animal of peace. Every step forward was a step toward something greater than any road could measure. To betrayal. Toward suffering. Toward a moment that would divide history into before and after. The physical journey was ending, but the spiritual one was only beginning. Ending Jesus never needed modern roads to change the world. He walked through dust, climbed rocky hills, crossed ancient waters, and joined crowded pilgrim paths. And along every mile, he carried a message that would outlast empires, outlast roads, and outlast time itself. The distances he crossed were physical, but the distance he closed between heaven and humanity was something far greater. Today, we travel in comfort, at incredible speed, across a world he could never have imagined. And yet, his footsteps, slow, deliberate, and human, still echo across history. Because sometimes, the most important journeys aren't measured in miles, they're measured in meaning.